My 22M, GF, 23F, is secretly visiting my abusive parents with our son, 3M, and doesn't understand why this upset me. We had a huge fight, and I don't know what to do now. I didn't have an easy time growing up. My childhood was so fucked up that I sort of just put it all in a mental box and left it at that. Needless to say, I left my parents as soon as I could, and then went no contact, and haven't seen them since. There's several reasons I went no contact, and she seemed understanding enough when I told her that I didn't even want to tell my parents about their grandson. I don't want my son around these people, I don't want my girlfriend around these people, and above all, I would never leave any child alone around these people. My girlfriend doesn't know about what exactly my father did to me and my sister, but I also feel like she doesn't have to know in order to respect my wishes. Yesterday, my sister texted me a picture of our parents' dog. In the background was my son's shoes. Our mother uploaded it on FB, where I have them blocked, but my sister recognized the shoes, though mainly was concerned about them, even having a kid over. My GF and I both work. She only part-time, but we always have someone to watch our child, either my sister or my GF's family, so it's not like she had to bring him there to have someone watch him. This was a deliberate decision that she should have made with me. I talked to my son about it, and turns out he's been there several times unsupervised, alone with my father. Apparently nothing happened, but I was understandably angry and confronted my GF as soon as she was back home, which of course led to a huge fight. She left crying and went to her parents' house, and later her mother came to pick up my son, which I refused, which led to a fight with her mom too. My GF texted me, asking to talk later today, and I know I can't keep my son from her. I also don't want to, but I don't want to go into our conversation unprepared, so any advice is welcome. I also feel betrayed and still very angry, and I'm honestly ready to break up over this, but my son is very upset and anxious because he heard our fight, and I'm just at a complete loss and don't know how to handle this. Comments usually write too. On the one hand, if she doesn't know the whole story, I can appreciate why she would want to try to foster a relationship. But on the other, he betrayed you. And further, why did she need a secret babysitter? It kind of seems like maybe there's more to this if she was leaving him with them. OOP, even without the whole sorry, I always felt like she knew enough about my childhood. I can understand it too. Her mother also told me not to hold grudges, and my father apparently has issues with his liver. Wonder where that's coming from, so I should just take the first step and forgive them, but this is my decision, and she kept it a secret for months, and essentially told my son to lie to me. I was so angry, I didn't even think about any other reason why she would leave him there, but you're right. I mean, I kind of just assumed that she would visit them to rebuild that relationship, because we have babysitters. Board read, not a lawyer. If you guys break up, you'll most likely have 50-50 custody. And it's extremely unlikely that a judge will ban her from taking the child to see its own grandparents. It doesn't sound like there's been any documentation of abuse from your parents, doctor's visits, cops' investigation, any reports, etc. So, while you can say it happened, they can deny it. Your sister being a witness may help or not. All of this you need to discuss with a lawyer. It might be supervised visits with the grandparents or something, but I think at this point you need to accept there's a good chance they'll be in your son's life. Yes, she should have considered your feelings more. You also should have been more open and honest about what happened. Consider if you passed away without telling her this information. Do you think she still would have kept him from your parents? No. She'd want him to have that connection to your family. So, if this is to protect your son, you should have told her. If it was to protect you, then you did the right thing. OOP, my sister, and I have no proof of what happened, and she wanted to get financial aid. BC, her PTSD makes it harder for her to work, but her lawyer said it'd be hard to get anyone to believe us. She gave up on that eventually. A couple people have suggested lawyers and custody agreements, but I'm worried that my son would get to live with my GF and her family if we did break up, because I have nobody in my corner except for my sister while she's his mom and has a whole family to support her. Admitting to confronting what happened with my parents in the past is really hard for me, which is why I never actually told her in detail, and I think that was my mistake. I never considered that shed wish for him to get to meet them. Up until my sister texted me the photo, I had kind of just ignored they existed. Okay, Locksmith 2064, oh, she taught your son to not trust you. That would be a reason to drag her ass to court for a custody agreement, where she also has to sign that she will never go to your parents behind your back with him. Imagine a toddler who get told by his mom not to tell daddy. That little kid was in an abuser's home unsupervised. Many times. Imagine grandpa would have done something to him, but the kid had learned to keep secrets. That's horrible and manipulative. Imagine an accident happened to that child. You would have been none the wiser. That betrayal is unforgivable. She drove a wedge between you and your kid. Nah, I would be done. OOP, I panicked when he said it was something he wasn't supposed to say. She apparently told him it was a surprise, and that's why he had to say he was at her parents'. I wouldn't have been this upset had she cheated on me, but she involved him, made him keep a secret, and put him at risk, and the more I've been thinking about this, the more I feel like I just can't trust her anymore. Especially if something did happen and he just doesn't realize and I haven't asked the right questions, or he doesn't have the vocabulary. Update 1. After 4 days, March 7th, 2025, first of all, Thank you for all the comments and input. I didn't feel like I could even think when I made my initial post, so it was good getting different perspectives. This will be a long post, but I'll put a TLDR at the bottom. I did write that my GF and I would talk that same day I posted, but we didn't because I needed to sort myself out, and I think she did too. She's been avoiding me ever since, and requested we talk at her parents' place, but I didn't want that, so we didn't get to talk until yesterday, while my son was at my sister's. Apparently in September last year, my mother reached out to my GF on FB asking how me and my son were doing. My mother is a very intelligent woman, but highly manipulative. She convinced my GF to visit them, because my father is ill. My GF said she didn't tell me because she knew I'd say no and she wanted to see what kind of people my parents were. She brought our son but didn't leave him alone at first, but their visits got fairly regular, and she became comfortable with leaving him with my parents. He seemed fine, even seemed to like it there, so she didn't feel like he was in danger. The first time she left my son fully alone was when she went Christmas shopping. I think from what I had told her about my childhood home, she expected a house of horrors, but according to her the place was clean and fixed up, the dog was healthy, and my parents were nice. The thing is that she knew something happened to my sister. I never told her what happened to me, which I now see I probably should have done. She doesn't see predators everywhere like I do, and when my son didn't report anything negative she saw no issue taking him and leaving him there. It's pretty clear that she doesn't know anything about abuse and what it can look like. I don't understand how she could think she'd be able to spot the signs with this little knowledge. My father has been in contact with children most of my life, and while I don't know if he's done anything to them, my sister always said he knew how to make children feel at ease. Both my parents are very methodical and calculating, so I don't blame her for believing them, but I blame her for not discussing this with me. She went to visit them after talking to my mother for a few days. Meanwhile, Eve lived there for 17 years, and somehow she thought she knew better than me. Even when I told her some details about my childhood, she still tried to push supervised visits, saying my father was ill and my son had a right to meet his grandparents, which I don't agree with at all. The thought of children being around these people makes me sick, but she seems reluctant to agree to officially limit their visitation rights. I'd need her agreement, however, unless I want a court case. I also tried to explain why this felt like a betrayal, because this is not just about putting my son in danger, it's also about her going behind my back for months. What else would she be capable of? Then she told my son to keep the visits a secret, which is exactly what abusers say too. She did apologize, saying she made an honest mistake and feels like I'm blowing this out of proportion and that her parents think so too. Besides, our son is fine, and I shouldn't have raised my voice at her mother and should be more grateful for what her parents have done for me and us over the years, which I am. I owe them, sure, but that doesn't mean they can just overrule my parenting decisions or get so involved. I feel like neither her nor her parents trust me or take me seriously, and it's so frustrating when the mother of your son is pretty much actively working against you. I don't think she can even grasp how terrified I was when I talked to my son about their visits. Again, I know it's my fault for not telling her everything, but I never thought she would do something like that. My past never really affected me much anyway. I never felt like there was a reason for her to know all the details. Honestly, I don't know if anything is resolved. I know why she made the choices she made, but I don't feel like she understands why I was, and still am upset. She left after bringing up her mother because I got angry, and I know I shouldn't have, but I revealed something so big and just still don't get taken seriously. I want us to work, and she agreed that it'd take a lot of work to get back to before all of this, which I'm not sure is even possible. I apparently deeply upset her and scared our son. True, I never wanted us to fight in front of him like that either, and I angered her family. I think for me, emotionally, all feelings for her vanished the moment I found out, so that's kind of where I'm at now. I wish we could make it work for his sake, but I don't want him to grow up with dysfunctional parents or with his parents fighting every day, so if this doesn't work out, he'll need to get a lawyer. I'm willing to put in the work needed for us to stay together, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. We were so young when we started dating and had our son, and I'm not sure I ever thought about us staying together forever. I only stayed because I was living with them, and then I stayed because I didn't want to be a shitty teen dad, abandoning my son, and the girl I loved, because I really did love her, I think. Also, I am partially responsible for her being pregnant in the first place, before he was even born. As for my son, I have talked a lot to him these past few days. I had taught him about touch and what's okay, and what isn't, so I just hope it's true that nothing happened. He has also, apparently, not seen anything inappropriate. Our fight got to him though, and he knows I was sad, and knows his mom is too, and I hope him and I talked it out enough, and that my GF gets to talk about this with him too. We might just sit him down or something. I'll need to talk to her about that. TLDR, my GF went over to my parents behind my back since September after my mother reached out to her, arguing my father was ill. She gradually became more comfortable with leaving my son alone with them. As for why she didn't tell me, she said because she knew I'd say no, but she wanted to see what my parents were like. I guess she figured they weren't that bad after all, but she had backed herself into a corner that first time her and my son visited them in secret. It seems like she thought all was well, and she had good intentions, repairing that relationship at least somewhat. She thinks my son has the right to get to know his grandparents, and she's reluctant to agree to take away their visitation rights. I don't think her and I are or will ever be on the same page about this. I don't feel like she understands what could have happened, what these forms of abuse look like, or how they work. Her parents, this far, are also agreeing with her, but I haven't talked to them yet. She did apologize, but said I'm overreacting and we agreed to work on all of this, but I'm not sure that will be of any use. At least our son seems fine. Edit. I feel the need to clarify a few things. Also, I see a bunch of people fighting in the comments, and I didn't word things as clearly as I should have in the post. I went no contact with my parents when I moved out for good. When my GF was pregnant, we talked about my parents, and I told her I did not want to tell them they were going to be grandparents, and I did not want them to ever see our child. She agreed, and that was it. Her, and I have talked about my childhood prior to my first post. She knows enough about my living conditions to know it was unsafe for any child. She knows my father is a violent alcoholic, and she knows about a lot of the crazy shit my mother pulled over the years. She knows my sister has a PTSD diagnosis, and she knows my father touched her. That is everything she knew, and I honestly think that should have been enough. Her parents also know about most of this. Yes, I raised my voice at her and her mom when I found out she had been taking him there, and I should definitely not have done that. It's been really hard to stay calm when talking about my parents, especially with her refusing to listen to me. Our conversation on Thursday was very emotional as well, but I ultimately just shut down after I told her that my father has also abused me, and yet she still said, I don't see why we can't do supervised visits. And I don't even have an argument because logically he can't do anything with someone watching, but it still feels like I'd be trafficking my son, even if he doesn't touch him at all, and I can't even explain why I feel that way. People in the comments say it's just an emotional response, which is true, and maybe it's illogical, but I truly don't see how getting to know his grandparents would be beneficial to him anyway. The reason I hadn't told her the details before is because I was fine being intimate. I managed at work. It's not like I want to kill myself every day because my parents were shitty or something. It didn't need to be brought up, and then having to talk about it is just painful, and there's a lot shame, and just things my parents, I guess, brainwashed me to feel. It felt even more impossible after how dismissive she was. Things have calmed down between us now. Maybe it's sinking in for her now, even though she still argues that nothing happened and ultimately everything was fine, but it feels like that's just her inability to accept she's made a mistake, repeatedly. She said she really thought they were okay, because they seemed normal, clean house and all. Their dog is not a ball of matted hair like our old one, everything being the opposite of how I described it. I don't think she'd bring him there behind my back again, but I obviously can't say for certain. We have not talked about this anymore. Maybe we need that right now so our son doesn't realize how bad it is between us currently, though I'm worried he knows anyway. I think we will separate though. I don't see us as future partners anymore. Her teaching him to lie to me, and her parents apparently told her that isn't a big deal, really scares me. I'm scared they will paint me as abusive or something because I really don't have much going for me when it comes to custody. She's the one with a functional support system, with people helping her look after our child, and her parents have the money for a good lawyer and can risk a lengthy legal battle. All of this, however, are things I need to talk to a lawyer about as soon as I find one. I'm not feeling anything for her anymore, not even anger. I know we can't stay together. I don't want us to end up like my parents. I don't want my son exposed to that, so I'm going to have to discuss separating with a lawyer and then decide from there. I think the best I can hope for is that we'll separate without much fighting and that we can co-parent effectively, which is also why I don't want to stir up any more arguments. I'll definitely take legal steps against my parents seeing him though, as well as taking him to a doctor. Comments Cultural Shape 3518. Honestly, I think you should go ahead and talk to a lawyer. At minimum, they can advise you on whether there are any protections you can put in place when it comes to your family so your girlfriend can't just ignore your no without consequences. But given that she still doesn't seem to think she did anything seriously wrong, you're probably going to want to know what all your options are if you have to enforce them. I'm torn on whether couples therapy would be a good idea to get through to her that she can't just decide she knows better than you on this, including what is and isn't a big deal, or if you should just work with someone on your own on reinforcing boundaries and where and how to draw the line. Maybe start with the latter and go from there. I think couples therapy would be good, so we'd have someone there to mediate and make sure we don't end up fighting. I'm just not sure how to afford that, and a lawyer. Her parents are supporting us financially, and we are on financial aid because we don't make enough between the two of us. We might manage therapy, but I doubt she would pitch in for a lawyer, especially if it's about us separating and making custody agreements. To a long thread answering this one, because so people see, sorry. I truly don't know what else to do, but to stay. I can't just go and walk out on them, her family included. I feel like I have to at least try making it work with her. I just can't see her as someone willingly putting him at risk. I feel like she is just ignorant and can't imagine abuse actually happening to people. And if I push for sole custody, who's saying I actually win? Plus, I don't want to hurt her or ruin our relationship. And I don't want to take my son's mom away from him. I think the whole street did, and one neighbor apparently asked my sister about it too. But other than that, there's no proof besides my sister's PTSD diagnosis. Got that done a while ago and wanted to pursue getting gov aid. Even had a layer, but she gave up. As for sexual abuse, there's no proof, no doctor's visits, nothing. I've been looking into custody though. My GF's been acting dismissive and weird when coming over earlier today. Don't see her getting it even if I spell out what exactly happened. I don't think she'd go behind my back again, but I can't trust her anymore, so I need to take legal steps to make sure to along Theod. Thank you for the resources. I had told her my parents were abusive, and then yesterday, while not giving the full story, I think I did reveal enough about my father for anyone to understand how dangerous he is, and yet she still didn't seem to listen to me. She's been over here again, and has still been acting dismissive of my concerns, because I wanted to bring all of this up again, to see where she's at, and to see if maybe she's done some thinking. I feel like she knows she messed up and her parents gotta know as well, but they I think can't accept how much they messed up, so that's why they've all been so dismissive. They can't put themselves into the category of abusers, bad parents, bad grandparents. I'm definitely gonna get some sort of protection order or something. I'm afraid my parents will pull something like that again, and I just needed to ease my mind a bit and have some legal things to back me up. I don't know if I'm making much sense, but again, thank you for the resources. It's like a solid foundation at least, because everything is so messy right now. Update 2. After 26 days, March 29th, 2025, my GF and I broke up. Hello guys. Eve had people reach out in DMs, and I'm sorry I didn't get back to you or answer any comments. I was just really overwhelmed by the attention my post garnered. Someone told me my post was shared to another sub, which I think lead to an increase in people commenting and reaching out, so I kinda just gave up. I don't know how many people will see this post, or if it will be shared. I think I would prefer if this got a little less traction, lol. Thanks for offering help and advice. I think I've read most of the comments, and a lot of this was really good advice, so I guess it was good so many people saw it. I finally have some time to make another update. My son is alright. Thank God. I've been calling doctors and therapists until one of them, even though booked, offered to do an assessment. She even stayed longer in her office for us. She also, thankfully, gave me a bunch of resources and organizations I can reach out to. According to her, he doesn't display any warning signs of abuse. The physician who works with court cases said so too. I am incredibly relieved. I guess we can't be sure, and the past weeks seem to have taken a toll on him, but at least the rest is alright. She's been recommending another therapist who lives a bit farther away, in case he has issues adjusting to us splitting up. So, yeah, my GF is now my ex. I don't even want to go into detail about all the shit that's happened in the past weeks. Honestly, this whole thing was just the last straw. Maybe it's a change of perspective after her betrayal, but I put up with her for way too long. As for how I am doing, I honestly don't know. I'm incredibly overwhelmed still, and it's starting to turn into physical symptoms of stress. This is of course not good for my son because he can sense I'm sad and tired. I have hardly any motivation anymore, and I guess I'm really lucky that I have another person to care for. I don't know what I would be doing otherwise. He's pretty much the only thing keeping me together at this point. I'm worried he somehow feels responsible for me and the whole situation. He also frequently asks if everything is okay, but we've been reading books about parents splitting up and about mental health stuff, and it seems to help him be less anxious. I also got a lawyer. We have a custody plan, sort of. She's currently back to living with her parents, so we each have some space. We've been to a mediator actually, and have talked about my childhood, and everything that's transpired these past weeks. Having someone else there to back me up and use scientific terms has apparently given me some credibility. Part of our custody agreement is that he won't be around my parents at all, which she actually agreed to right away. She still doesn't admit that she really fucked up, but it's whatever at this point. I've made it really clear that I will take this to court if she ever goes behind my back again, and I'm going to go the official route as well to take away my parents' rights. Currently looking into that more. If they want to take this to court, I'm going to go public about their abuse, and I'm going to fight them, even with no proof. There's also the option of facilities where staff can monitor visits. If my parents manage to get visitation, I'll demand we do that. Thankfully, it looks like my GF and I have a somewhat peaceful separation. Things have been really difficult with her in private after I broke up, but it's calmed down now. We both want to remain on friendly terms, or at least not hostile, for our son, and that won't work if we each fight for full custody. This also means I will not try getting full custody. I am already overwhelmed enough, and I'm scared it will just get worse the older my son gets and the closer he gets to the age I was when my father's abuse got bad. My lawyer thinks this is the best route too, but I will be collecting evidence against her just in case something happens. I might be paranoid, but I think it's normal after what's happened. People have been very kind, not just here on Reddit but also those around me. I made my last update feeling very hopeless, worried about my son and having to take leave to deal with everything. Then there's also been my financial situation. My lawyer is doing this pro bono, and my bosses have offered their support when I informed them I needed leave to deal with a family emergency. I am going to figure out a work schedule, but doubt I'll be still able to work at my job full-time in the future. Things will change once he goes to school, but I had just been given more responsibility at work and was getting paid more, so I was planning on paying back my GF's parents, but I'll have to put that off for now. I will, however, collect evidence against her and my parents if I ever need to go to court, and in looking into any way I can limit their rights. My son is stressed, but okay, he has apparently not been abused according to 2 experts. I am more stressed and less okay, but I'm getting lots of support and will start therapy. I don't know how things will go with my job and I'll probably have to move. GF is living with her parents, but I know that all this will be settled at some point and I just have to get through this. Comments glum? Object. 182. Did her parents know about the abuse? And I'm glad you got things worked out. OOP, they knew I would get beaten, but they never knew how bad. They also know my sister quit working due to her mental health, but I didn't tell them about the sexual abuse. Legal throwaway 64. I'm sorry, but also happy for you. I hope you excel. If not for yourself, then for your son. We are all rooting for you. Also, what has her parents' reactions been? Only if you're comfortable sharing, of course. OOP, yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate all this has happened. I'm still trying to get used to the whole situation, but I hope it can only go up from here. Her dad seemed alright with us breaking up, actually. He came by to help her pack some stuff, and we had a casual conversation. His dad was a soldier, and while we haven't talked about it much, I think he knows what it's like to grow up with a father similar to mine. Her mom has been kinda treating me like I don't exist. She's come by to pick up my son a few times and has been acting very cold. She didn't even really greet me or talk at all even after I apologized for last time. I haven't actually talked to them about the sexual abuse, and I don't know if my girlfriend has, but I'm not sure I ever will. Telling her and a bunch of doctors and lawyers was enough for now. I think I might, I don't know yet. I'll have to if they start meddling. Final update January 2026. I want to thank every single one of you for reaching out and sharing your own stories. I'm sorry for not being active and ignoring pretty much every DM I got. It means a lot to me. It's just a lot to reply to everyone. I've been meaning to make a post on our current situation. I even had a couple of drafts, but they never seemed good enough. But considering that I got about 20 DMs, I think it's time to make an update. My father was hospitalized in September and died beginning of October. It's been hard. I had a lot of conflicting feelings, especially because I didn't go to the hospital or his funeral. My sister didn't attend either. Our mother reached out, but she hasn't even made any Christmas posts. I don't know what she's doing or where she is. I think she's currently at her mother's, who has dementia and can't be left unsupervised. After his death, things got tough. I had issues dealing with everything. My ex and I had been trying to rekindle, but I quickly figured out it wouldn't work. I'm trying to heal from everything that happened at home, and during all of this I started to see what had been going on in our relationship. We were both young, and her family were my easiest way out. I ended up in a situation similar to the one I had just gotten out of. It took me a while to accept that. The past few months, she's been doing things I don't agree with, and she's been going against pretty much every single one of the agreements we've made regarding custody. Her new BFF's gonna be doing a cross-country move, and it looks like she's coming with. I'm glad to be honest. It seems like she just wants to move past what's happened between us, including our son, and I'm currently in the process of getting full custody. They'll move in 2 months. She agreed to give up legal and physical custody and pay child support. Although this hurts, and I know this is going to hurt my son, I think this is the best-case scenario. She's bad at choosing partners and can't provide a safe environment for children, and I'm tired of fighting. I wish I had a less infuriating update, but this is just how things are. My son is doing well, all things considered. My sister and I moved to a bigger place. He's made friends with kids from the neighborhood and is doing well in therapy. He is angry a lot, but we're working through that. He's also started to get extremely picky when it comes to food. But that's apparently fairly normal. He also wants a dog, which is the only Christmas present I couldn't get him. But I hope he has everything he needs, and am trying to establish an open and honest relationship where he feels safe. He hasn't discussed anything alarming, hasn't mentioned anything in therapy or to my sister either. I am keeping an eye on him, and I just hope that we manage to give him everything he needs, and that once he's older, he knows how to communicate if he ever needs anything else. The last time he saw his mom was on Christmas, but we are fostering a somewhat good relationship with her parents. I am doing alright, I guess. I'm trying to work through everything, but because of everything else going on, I don't really have enough space to allow myself to feel anything besides stress. I have a new job now with flexible hours, and my sister and I are pulling through until he can eventually go to preschool. Her and I have always been pretty close, and am grateful that we've gotten a lot closer. Her mental health has also improved, and even though it's been a lot on both of us, I think having a child around has really helped her improve. I am so incredibly grateful that I have so many supportive people in my life, including her and our neighbors, our new landlady, and all the strangers I got to meet online and IRL. I've experienced a lot of kindness over the past few months, and especially hearing that people are proud of me for standing up for my son, and for how I'm managing has helped and stuck with me. I had initially left out the part about me and my ex briefly getting back together, but I decided to be honest on here. I think because of therapy, because I've been looking into how men deal with abuse and how little society pays attention to victims who aren't what they deem successful. I feel like somehow I have a chance to do something, even if this will get lost among everything else happening online. I guess that's it. I wish everyone who has reached out and shared their own struggles that they will continue to heal. I hope all of you have a pleasant 2026.